2 episodes ago, episode 111, that the Degenerates was going to come out, and it did, and I saw a whole bunch of them. Joey Coco Diaz killed it as expected. He was really funny. It's cool to see Joey on like a big stage, like Netflix, like a big platform like this, because he's kind of like the guy that you didn't expect to make it but made it. He's like the underdog that you root for, even though you know he won't win, but then he does. So it's like dope as hell. You know what I mean? I really want to see what he does with An Hour. I've seen him live. I met him, took a picture with him and shit. And I listen to the Church of What's Happening Now podcast all the time. And I've seen his 1 hour special that he had before this one on CISO, which was a platform that no longer exists. And now I finally got this half hour Netflix special, and he wasn't too happy with it. He's spoken about it like on the podcast and on Rogan's podcast as well, that it wasn't his he wasn't happy with it. He wasn't happy with how it came out, and he feels that he kind of restrained himself a bit for Netflix, for being on this big stage. And I think he even mentioned that they gave him a couple notes with certain things that they wanted to trim or cut down or whatever in his half hour, and he actually complied, but then he regretted it because it wasn't, it didn't come out as pure as he wanted, I guess. But I really enjoyed it. I saw it twice, and laughed a lot, and it was cool. It was vindicating in a weird way to see Joey on the stage, and it was pretty dope. He was either my first or very close second favorite special of all the Degenerate specials, and I'll get into the other one next. But he has this hilarious bit that the special's out already, so spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. He speaks about being an older guy. Joey's 51, 54, something like that. He speaks about the F word that you're not supposed to say anymore. The F word that rhymes with maggot. If you don't know Joey, he has this larger than life personality, and he gets he goes on these pissed off rants, and he starts flipping out about not being able to say that word anymore. And he's like, I'm an old man. You can't change the fucking rules in between. Right? When I was younger, you could say it. Now you can. I'm an old man. You can't change the fucking rules in between. Which I thought was just hilarious, and the concept of it. And he was like, plus it didn't even mean what it means now. It wasn't a word for a gay person. He was like, he said something to the effect of, when you're walking down the street and an ambulance passes by and it has its sirens blaring, and there's a guy standing on the corner and he puts his fingers in his ears while the ambulance drives by because he doesn't want to hear the sounds. That's a faggot. He's like, it doesn't mean gay person. I don't know, that shit's just funny as fuck to me. And he's just funny as hell to me. I hope he gets from the popularity of this hour special through Netflix as well, or one of the other big time places either a Showtime or Comedy Central. But Netflix is definitely the premier place now for stand-up comedy. But they have so much of it that's the argument, right? It's there's so much of it, so much stand-up comedy now available on Netflix that it's kind of diluting it. But I've spoken about this in the past, and I don't think that's the case. It's there's something for everyone. You like different styles or different types of comedy, you can take your pick. You know what I mean? I don't think there has to be a limited amount in order for them to, I don't think a limited amount of specials automatically makes them all good or a larger quantity of them good. You know, they could still be, if there's 10 specials, there could still be 8 of them that are dog shit. Or they could be 100 and fucking 80 of them are dog shit, or 20 of them are dog shit. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. Anyway, the other special that I thought was awesome, and it's another comic that I like, and he kind of like overlaps with that whole like Rogan camp and Comedy Store scene, but he's from New York, and he overlaps by way of Ari Shafir, which I guess like became cool with him when Ari moved to New York, and you know, he was in the comedy scene here in New York, and you know, since becoming cool with Ari and being on Ari's podcast, and was introduced, I guess, to Rogan, and was on Rogan's podcast a couple of times, and just seems like a cool cat. And I like his stand up. I saw his, not a special, but a show that Ari had called This Is Not Happening, which was on Comedy Central. It's a show that actually Comedy Central still has it. It was Ari's show originally. He sold it to Comedy Central and hosted it for a couple of seasons, and then they parted ways. They had some creative differences, but Netflix, you know, kept the name and the idea. And Ari still does he calls it a, quote, unnamed storytelling show or something like that. It's, you know, pretty much the same concept, same thing, same show, but the original, because Ari created this shit. Anyway, I saw Big J Okerson's story on there, and I thought it was really cool and funny. And you know, I've heard him on podcasts, and I like the guy. This is the first special that I saw completely, half-hour special of his that I saw, and I honestly thought it was the best one, along with Joey's. It was like number one or very close number two. And you know, when I think of like bits from either set, I like Joey's more than I like Big J's more, and they're, you know, top 1 and 2 pretty much of the Degenerates specials. So definitely check that one out as well. I also liked Brad Williams, I would say, was the next funniest one to me. I also saw, and Brad Williams is a small person. I'm not sure what the, you know, PC term is or whatever, but he calls himself a midget. So, but I know that, you know, you're not supposed to use midget. So, he's really self-deprecating and just had like some funny jokes, which were interesting, and he was like really high energy, which is pretty cool. And Christina Pajitsky, I saw some of hers, and I like Christina. She's a co-host of Your Mom's House podcast, and married to another dope comic, which is Tom Segura. But her comedy, I saw her 1 hour special, which she has currently on Netflix, called Mother Superior, if I'm not mistaken. And I thought it was good. Didn't love it, but I thought it was good. And I felt the same way about this half-hour one. You know, she's obviously a seasoned, polished comic, but just, you know, like I was saying, you know, different tastes, you know, for different people. She's not exactly my cup of tea in terms of comedy, but I could appreciate the fact that I know it's good quality. You know what I mean? Then I saw some of Yamanika's special, which was also under the Degenerates. And there was one other one, which I did not see, or I did not watch yet. But definitely worth a watch of absolutely the Joy Diaz and the Big J one. And if you want to give any of the other ones a shot, feel free. You might see something in them that I did not, or, you know, you might like them more than I did. But definitely, without a doubt, you'll enjoy the Joy Diaz one and or the Big J Okerson one. Again, they're streaming now on Netflix, and it's called The Degenerates, and they're only a half hour long each. You know, it's not a long hour long comedy special, so it flies by. a couple bits and you're done. So go laugh a little, folks.